dead or alive, you're coming with me.
Robocop. Alright guys, well this is a movie that really could have and really should have sucked, and it wasn't really all that bad. I had extremely low expectations going into it. I'm not the biggest Robocop fan in the world. I do really enjoy the first Robocop. I haven't seen the other two in forever, but I picked the new one up recently when they just did the remastered version of it. And it is a really fun, awesome movie. Paul Verhoeven, really over-the-top violence and everything. And so I wasn't really excited to see the remake of it. And I wasn't really thrilled about the fact that it was PG-13, because one thing that's awesome about the original is the over-the-top violence in it and the use of practical effects and the gore and all that. It's really awesome and really what kind of makes Robocop what it is. And so they dumbed it down, made it PG-13, and I really thought that was going to be the biggest problem with the movie. And I thought they did a pretty good job justifying a PG-13 rating. There's a lot of violence in it. Obviously not a lot of blood. They do have a couple of blood, but it's not the spray from when people are getting hit with bullets. There's little blood puddles you see around bodies here and there. But I really felt that they did a good job justifying the PG-13 rating. Didn't necessarily need to have the R. I mean, it would have been great for them to go over the top with all the violence and show all the gore. But since they didn't, it really didn't hinder my viewing experience all that much. So if people are worried about the rating thing, don't worry about that too much. Now, if you are a die-hard Robocop fan and you love the original, this might not be the movie for you, because it's not really a remake. It's more of a reimagining. They take the characters, but it's a whole new story. It's completely different from the original Robocop. This time around, Omnicorp has the drones all over the world except the United States, basically. And they're using them instead of having soldiers going around, basically to keep the peace in third world countries and all that. And Michael Keaton is playing Mr. Sellers, and it's his objective to get these drones in the United States, and the American public doesn't want that, so they have to bring in the Robocop program, where they basically take a human, put the human inside the robot, so you know, they feel like that it can have reasoning and have emotion towards humans, as opposed to a mindless robot just doing whatever it can. No difference between a child or an adult or anything like that. So with that being said, it is a very, very different story, since in the original Robocop, they're just trying to basically launch everything. In this movie, everything's already going full-fledged. So if you are very, very stuck to that original source material, you got to go into this with an open mind, because it is a very different film. So if you can get past that and you just love the idea of Robocop, I think there's a lot to enjoy in this movie. They really, really tried to make a good movie here, and for the most part, I think they did a pretty good job with it. There are a couple of problems I had with it, but for the most part, I did enjoy the movie. My biggest issue that I had with it, though, is I really didn't feel like they had a definitive villain in it. In the original Robocop, there's really two definitive villains, and I think you're really pulling for Robocop to get vengeance and, you know, bring them to justice, let's say. In this film, I didn't really have that same kind of connection. It was just Robocop going about his business. You know, certain people turn up to be, you know, assholes, we'll say, but, you know, you don't feel any connection to it. And I really didn't care whether or not Robocop was going to take these people out. So that always kind of kills the viewing experience a little bit for me, because I always feel that the best hero is always created by having the best villain. Like Spider-Man, you know, everybody loves Spider-Man, but, you know, Spider-Man was just taking thieves out all the time. It wouldn't have the same thing. You got to create a great villain and someone that pushes your hero to the, you know, to the limit, where you want to see your hero take them out. You know, you want them to be successful, but overcome all limits that are put in front of them. And I just didn't feel this movie had that. But other than that, I thought it was good. The action was actually surprisingly done pretty well, and it justified why they wanted to do the remake. I could see reasons why they wanted to remake the movie. You know, in the original Robocop, he's not very mobile. He's kind of taking his time getting around and everything. They make Robocop very mobile in this movie, where he's more, you know, of a robot cyborg, where he can jump and sprint and all that. So that was cool to see Robocop like that. There is one scene in this movie, though. It was so badass. It's this really big, elaborate action scene they put together. I thought the scene was really awesome, a lot of fun, and what really made it for me is the song that they had playing during it. And I don't know if I've ever heard this song in a film before, and it's such a badass song. And as soon as they started and went into the scene, I was just drawn into it. I thought it was really cool. If you know the song, that's awesome. If not, you're going to know exactly the part, because it is just such an oddball song to use, but I thought it fit perfectly for this scene. But with all that being said, I really felt Robocop, maybe not a justifiable remake, but I really felt that they did the best that they could with something, and I really enjoyed the fact that they gave a new story to it. It wasn't, a bunch of rehashed stuff from the first movie that they brought into this, where you felt like you were watching the same movie, essentially. I like the idea, and I really appreciate the fact that they brought something new to the table, and I dug it. I thought it was a fun movie. I don't know if it's something I would buy, but if I could get it for cheap, I would probably pick it up for, on sale for $5 or something if I could get it cheap and watch it again. It's definitely worth the watch, I would say. But that's pretty much it. The only other thing I could say about the movie is I thought the acting was really good. Gary Oldman specifically, I thought Gary Oldman was fantastic in the film. He plays a doctor, and I thought he did a good job. He did a really good job being the whole, good doctor, bad doctor guy, where he's forced to do certain things, but he cares about the patient. He cares about his research and all that. And I thought he was awesome in the movie. I really liked Gary Oldman. Michael Keaton did pretty good, but Gary Oldman, I thought, for me, really made the movie. He kind of held everything together, and he was the one character I was interested in more than anything throughout the movie. So if you're a huge fan of the original Robocop and you just like the lore of it, I would say check it out. Just go into it with an open mind, because like I said, it is an entirely different story. They pretty much gutted everything, kept the characters, and built their own story out of it, and I personally appreciated that. If I had to choose between the two, I would definitely take the original, but not that bad of a movie. So if you guys have seen Robocop, leave me a comment, let me know what you thought about it. And yeah, that's all I've got to say about that. Thank you guys for watching. I will catch you next time, and if you are new to my channel, make sure you subscribe and keep up with the latest. Thank you guys. Peace.